Philosophy calls for simple living, not for doing penance, and the simple way of life need not be a crude one. Seneca says that we should eat nutritious, nourishing food, but only enough to keep our bodies in good health and our stomachs full. We shouldn't stuff ourselves nor eat extravagant meals just because we can. Avoid binging on that whole bag of chips, basically. We should have comfortable homes, but shouldn't concern ourselves with ornamentation that serves no functional purpose. It's a waste of resources and energy. If something is well constructed and fulfills its purpose, that's all we should want from it. We shouldn't be lusting money or status. We are raised in a society that values ornamentation, so it may be tricky to rid ourselves of that desire. Seneca gives us guidelines on how to free ourselves from this mindset. We should work on being satisfied with what we do have, to take pleasure in the simple things. Those who want more than what they need and what they have will always want more, and this only leads to a cycle of dissatisfaction. We must also eliminate the fear of living without the extras. Many of us are afraid of losing our possessions, our phones, our house, our cars. Seneca advises us to spend time living without these extras of our own free will. He says we should cultivate a relationship with poverty. In a modern context, we might experiment going without our computers, our phones, entertainment, and intentionally fasting from time to time. Once we know we can handle life without these things, we can be free from the fear of losing them. Finally, we should always remind ourselves that it doesn't matter how cool our things are or exotic our surroundings are. If we are miserable with ourselves, we will be miserable wherever we go. On top of being happy with the essentials, developing our inner self is key. Seneca has advice on how to do that as well. Developing our inner selves is a lifelong process that we must always work at. How many of us have put off mental health practices because we don't have time, or find the thought of meditating when we're busy more stressful than useful? Seneca insists that these are not worthy excuses. We can and should make time for our mental health. It is an important full-time job, not something we should shove to the side in favor of other tasks. But where do we start on this self-improvement journey? Being content with enough, as discussed above, is an important piece. However, Seneca expands upon self-improvement in more ways throughout his texts. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. One of the first steps to improving ourselves is recognizing our own flaws. Not one of us is perfect, and identifying which areas of ourselves we need to work on is crucial. If we don't see the problems, how can we find the solutions? For a lot of us, being troubled by the outside world is one of those flaws. Some philosophies aim to eliminate feeling those troubles at all, while Stoicism wants to lessen the impact of external factors on our happiness. It does not tell us to avoid being troubled, which Seneca views as unrealistic, but rather to know that we will overcome these troubled feelings. That knowledge is important and boils down to recognizing that this, too, shall pass. Another key to improving our inner selves is to not compare ourselves to others. It's a fruitless waste of energy. Our life is our own and not anyone else's. Our goals should make sense to us, and we shouldn't worry about others judging them, only about achieving them for our own purposes. Why be concerned about others? Come to that, when you've outdone your own self. Set yourself a limit which you couldn't even exceed if you wanted to, and say goodbye at last to those deceptive prizes more precious to those who hope for them than to those who have won them. If there were anything substantial in them, they would sooner or later bring a sense of fullness. As it is, they simply aggravate the thirst of those who swallow them. This also goes for when we make positive progress. When we are further along on our journey, we should also not show off our commitment to Stoicism. Bragging about this lifestyle not only defeats part of the essence of the lifestyle, as showing off to others is an external form of validation rather than inner, but it also may alienate others from trying it out. We should lead quietly by example and then help those curious rather than trying to proselytize. As an aside, Seneca does not suggest that physical health is unimportant. Maintaining our health is important for both ourselves and those who care about us. but does say that more energy should be put into cultivating our minds. Our bodies will eventually fail us as we age and illness strikes, but enduring these eventualities is easier when we have strong minds. Finally, we should embrace the present moment. While we should examine our past and our flaws in order to make future decisions, we should live in the present as much as possible. Besides learning from our mistakes or occasionally reflecting on a fond memory, dwelling on the past does us no good. It's already over with. As for anxiety, worrying about the future, that does not help either. What will come, will come. The best thing we can do is fortify ourselves and know that we will overcome our misfortunes, but dread does not serve us. Throughout his letters, Seneca contemplates the meaning of friendship and how to make it ideal. He also emphasizes the importance of being your own friend, that the person who befriends themselves will never be alone and will be a friend of all. First, we must acknowledge that we are all equals. We are not better than others due to our circumstances, our occupation, or our place in our society. Our positions can change at any moment. Slaves become masters, masters become slaves, princes become paupers, and so on. We should not look down on anyone based on our current, possibly temporary positions. We are only better than one another, due to the content of our character, nothing more and nothing less. Then we must judge who is worthy of being our friend. The masses are not our friends. We should be cautious of their influence. Crowds can lead us to indulge in our vices in ways we may not on our own. Think of being encouraged to down shot after shot at a party, or the mobs of old gathering their pitchforks in united bloodlust. This mob mentality is not only dangerous to others, but to our own character. Crowds can lead us to losing control of ourselves, which Stoicism strongly discourages. I shall show you, said Hecate, a love philter, compounded without drug or herb or witch's spell. It is this: if you wish to be loved, love. However, Seneca does not urge us to isolate ourselves from all of society. We can celebrate, holidays for example, with others if we are determined to avoid indulgence in excess, as well as to avoid becoming too involved in groupthink. Perhaps you will be cajoled, made fun of, or otherwise judged, peer-pressured, by those who want to bring you to their level. But Seneca reminds us that the judgments of others do not matter as much as our own. We must strive to live with virtue and integrity, because at the end of the day, it is ourselves we must face. Now, who should be considered worthy of being a friend? Seneca advises that we do not use the term friend lightly. His teachings here boil down to quality over quantity. Next, we should consider our potential friend's character. Is our potential friend a good influence? We should surround ourselves with people we seek to be like, who will help us improve and grow, rather than those who may negatively impact our lives. While we, of course, can counsel those who are in a bad place, we should be wary of allowing them to come so close that we are affected by their negativity. Also, we should not base the friendship on how useful the friendship is, even if the friendship is useful to both parties. This is because once that usefulness has dried up, the friendship will likely fall apart. We often call these people fair weather friends. They will not stick around when we need them most. Okay, say we've done all that vetting. This next lesson is key. Once we've determined that we have a friend that is a good influence and that our connection goes beyond utility, we must trust our friend absolutely. Trust breeds trust. Loyalty breeds loyalty. If we treat our friends with suspicion, like they might betray us, then we may bring about a self-fulfilling prophecy. But when you are looking on anyone as a friend, when you do not trust him as you trust yourself, you are making a grave mistake and have failed to grasp sufficiently the full force of true friendship. With this trust and loyalty, we can allow ourselves to grow a truly meaningful relationship. We should be able to tell our friends things we only tell ourselves. We should learn from each other's wisdom. What is the point of knowledge if we don't share it? While Seneca does tell us that time away from a friend does help us grow fonder of them, he also reminds us that it's key to appreciate them while they're around. Don't take your friend for granted. What about losing a friend? To circumstance or to death? While grief is only natural, we should not succumb to it. We must recognize the sweetness of the friendship, the positive, cherished times we had. We can endure loss, and we will grow from it. We will find new friendship, new love. It won't be quite the same, but neither will we.